regular meeting of council to order. Recommendation that the agenda for the regular council meeting of September 11th, 2017 be adopted as presented with late agenda item 6E, landfill electrical and earthwork award of contract. Moved by Councillor Nish, second by Councillor Kinney. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item 3A, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting of August 21st, 2017 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Renhowa, second by Councillor Nish. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Item 3B, recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting of August 21st, 2017 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Kinney, second by Councillor Cunningham. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item 3C, recommendation that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of August 21st, 2017 be received. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Nish. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And item 3D, recommendation of the minutes of the special council meeting of August 29th, 2017 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Renhowa. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. First up, we have a report from our community planner. Application for development variance permit for 508 8th Avenue East. Welcome back.
This development variance permit request at 508 8th Avenue East is for the purpose of renovating a single-family residence that currently exists in nonconformance to setback standards of the Prince Rupert zoning bylaw. The application is to vary section 5.2.4 of the zoning bylaw to decrease the side yard setback from 1.2 meters to 0.94 meters at the east boundary. The proposed renovation of building a second-story dormer of the principal residence would result in a further contravention of the setback. Therefore, a development variance permit is required for the renovation to proceed. The residence is located in a well-developed neighborhood built since approximately the 1920s. The existing infringement to the setback of approximately 1 foot is not significant enough for a dormer addition to adversely obstruct the view or exposure of the affected residence to the east. And not included in the report, final consideration will be subject to the applicant consolidating the lot as it is indicated on the survey certificate. In conclusion, the applicant requests approval to proceed to public notification. Do you have any questions?
Questions from council? Councillor Moreau? Who's joined us on the phone?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, moved by Councillor Nish, second by Councillor Kinney. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. The next up, 1408 7th Avenue East.
This development variance permit request for 1408 7th Avenue East is for a single-story accessory building at the rear of the property for recreational vehicle storage. The application is to vary section 5.2.3b of the Prince Rupert zoning bylaw to increase the maximum allowable height for an accessory building from 3.6 meters to 6.7 meters. The proposal will be located at the rear south corner of this property, abutting and accessible from a laneway. The laneway is undeveloped and is not maintained by the city. The applicant has been made aware that services such as snow removal, grading, repairs, and or drainage improvements are not provided, nor is access guaranteed. A letter of acknowledgement is included. Adjacent to the subject property is a 2-story residence to the southwest, a vacant lot to the northeast, and abutting the laneway are primarily single-story residences. As such, impact on the neighboring residences as well as on the form and character of this neighborhood is not significantly affected by the scale or location of this proposal. A standard referral request for stormwater management due to the proximity of the proposal to the lane, as requested by council, is included in attachment 5. Staff issued notification for the proposed variance to the neighboring properties within a 50-meter radius. As of the date of this report, staff received 1 request for information. As the request for variance did not include infringement into the rear yard setback, the party had no further concerns. In conclusion, as of the date of this report, we did not receive any objections that would prevent approval of this application for variance. Do you have any questions?
Comments from council?
My only concern on this whole structure was the runoff as it's elevated higher than the houses behind it. and they say they're going to put all their drainage into the existing storm service they have now. Now, that storm service on the property before it actually gets into the city storm sewer is going to be able to handle it?
My understanding is that the city storm service will be able to handle the runoff, and the engineer has worked through the scenario with the applicant and the applicant's builder, and is satisfied with the solution.
Other comments? Councillor Niche? Oh, okay. Moved by Councillor Niche then. Seconded by Councillor Cunningham. Any final comments? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And by move, I mean move the recommendation. And I think that's all from our planner. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. The sun is shining. Next up, report from our Chief Financial Officer regarding the July 2017 financial variance report.
Thank you. The operating and utility revenues and expenses are on track for this time of year and are within budget. Capital projects are ongoing, and estimates are that projects remain on target. And that concludes our report.
Great. So recommendation that Council receives this report for information purposes. Moved by Councillor Niche, second by Councillor Ranawa. Any comments? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Next up again, Chief Financial Officer regarding the authorization to borrow $890,000 for a custom fire truck pumper truck.
In 2016, Council approved the ordering of the pumper truck to be financed through the Municipal Finance Authority. Given that delivery could not occur until 2017, the acquisition and financing was included in the 2017 budget. The truck has been built and is now delivered. In order to finance the purchase through borrowing, the MFA requires this resolution, which makes up one of the loan application documents.
Great. So the recommendation is whereas under Section 175 of the Community Charter, a council may incur a liability, and whereas council adopted the 2017 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw number 3416/2017 on 4th of August 2017, and whereas council released the approved award of the pumper truck tender on June 13th, 2016, therefore be it resolved that council gives authorization to borrow from the Municipal Finance Authority, MFA, $890,000 for the purchase of the custom pumper truck, repayment of which to be made over 5 years with no provisions for renewal. Moved by Councillor Kinney, seconded by Councillor Niche. Any further comments? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. We have a new item today, item E, a report from our Director of Operations regarding the landfill. Welcome back, Mr. Pucci.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation is that Mayor and Council award the landfill electrical and earthwork contract to Coast Industrial Construction. As Council is aware, the city's landfill is rapidly approaching its maximum capacity. As a result, the Council has established expansion as a priority. Before the West Berm construction can take place, the landfill's leachate lagoon must be expanded to accommodate the expected increase in leachate. This work will start this year, but will be completed next year once the West Berm construction has been completed. The Operations Department has conducted an open tender process that received 3 compliant tenders. The received tenders were reviewed by the Operations Department and the Engineers of Record, Sperling Hansen, with both recommending to award the contract to the lowest bid provided by Coast Industrial Construction. There will be no cost or budget implications associated with this project, as it was included in the 2017 Capital Works budget and fully funded through gas tax. As a result, the recommendation of the Operations Department is to award the contract to Coast Industrial Construction. Thank you.
Great. So recommendation that Mayor and Council approve the recommendation of the Director of Operations and Sperling Hansen Associates and award the landfill electrical and earthwork project to Coast Industrial Construction. Moved by Councillor Kinney, seconded by Councillor Niche. Comments?
These expenses for a landfill such as we have I asked several years ago about incinerators, an incinerator like they use in Europe, and I never got any answers back. What exactly, roughly, is the cost of an incinerator that will create electrical power by the use of it? And, instead of pouring $15-60 million every 4 or 5 years into a landfill, we've got something that is going to, in the end, create revenue for the city by having a generating plant attached to it, which a lot of those ones in Europe have now. And if they've got the large population, and we have the small population, the fact of how much garbage is coming and going and things like that, I'd like to know the factors in that over a long run and a short run.
I don't have that information here. I know we have done some research in the past on it. What we can do is the operations department can put forward a memo to council that looks at that option and talks about the pros and cons. I know that climate-wise, our area isn't the best suited for that type of incinerator.
Okay, I'm just curious. It's something you see in Europe, and they seem to be light years ahead of us on stuff like that because they don't have space for landfills.
Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Next, we have a correspondence for action from Mark Mull, Executive Director of the Western Region for the Prostate Cancer Canada, requesting that Mayor and Council proclaim September 2017 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Prince Rupert. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Ranhawa. Any comments? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And just, Mr. Mander, could you scan and email a copy of that to Mr. Ma? And
yes, Your Worship.
thank you. Okay, moving on to bylaws. Report from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the 2018-2019 Permissive Property Tax Exemption Amendment Bylaw, number 3417, 2017.
In 2015, Council passed a bylaw to permissively exempt certain properties that qualify under the Community Charter. The intent of the 4-year exemption was to provide certainty to organizations provided they continue to qualify. In 2016, Council amended the 2015 bylaw to add 2 qualifying properties and remove 3 which no longer needed an exemption. This year, a bylaw amendment is being proposed for the following reasons. To change the legal descriptions of 2 properties already exempted given additional information provided by BC Assessment. There is no dollar impact from these 2 revisions. And to add Cayen Island Trail Enhancement and Recreation Society for the Rushbrook Trail property. The dollar impact of adding the Rushbrook Trail is only the opportunity cost, given the city has never collected taxes on this property before because it is owned by the city. Council is asked to give 3 readings to the attached amendment bylaws so staff can proceed with the required notification period for public comment. Any bylaw amendment must be adopted by October 31st to take effect for 2018.
Okay, so the recommendations that Council introduce and give first, second, and third readings to the 2018-2019 Permissive Property Tax Exemption Amendment Bylaw number 3417, 2017. Moved by Councillor Ranhawa, second by Councillor Nish. Comments?
I just had one question there, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
I just missed that last piece about the October 31st deadline. Can you just repeat what that was in reference to?
Any permissive tax exemption bylaws must be adopted by October 31st in order to take effect in the following year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Moving on from reports from Council. Councillor Ranhawa.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. We heard lots of concern from people about the Greyhound cutting their services to our towns. So I think we should write down a letter to Greyhound or Transportation Minister to keep on going this one, because it's really needed in our community, this one. Especially in winter time, we do need that service.
Sure, yeah, and I can actually give an update on that quickly here. So I have spoken to Minister Trevena on the phone, as well as I have a call into Greyhound. Just so everyone's aware that no decision has been made. In fact, this has to go back to the Transportation Review Board, who is going to review whether or not Greyhound's actually allowed to do that or not. And so Minister Trevena is actually working with Greyhound on that. So just so the community knows, it might not even be possible for Greyhound to do that, but that's a provincial matter. So in terms of transportation along the highway corridor, that will fall under the province's hands. And so Minister Trevena is on top of that, and we're monitoring that situation closely. But at this juncture, no decisions have been made, and until that review board comes back with a decision, that's when there'll be actual some sort of movement on in a direction. But so I've already reached out to them, and I'm reaching out to Greyhound, and I can report back once after I talk to Greyhound as well.
Don't you think we should write down a letter to our should concern our?
Yeah, we can certainly write the letter as well, for sure. Yeah. So let's move that. I'd be happy. So moved by Councillor Renhowie that we write a letter to Greyhound and to Minister Trevena. Yes. Okay, expressing our concerns, and seconded by Councillor Cunningham. Okay, any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favour? Any opposed? Motion's carried. I think, did you... No, go ahead, Councillor Kinney.
No, go ahead. Okay, just a question. I keep hearing about this parking fund and that, and I'd like an explanation. One, how much money we have in the parking fund over the years that we've collected it, if it doesn't have to necessarily be right now. But and the other thing is, our bylaw states that if you don't have enough parking places or can't provide them, you can buy them from the city. You know, you're not buying a parking place, you're just buying the privilege of saying you have that many. Well, you know, so a person buys sometimes 10, 20, 30 parking places depending on the type of business and need they have. And then over the years, more and more people are parking around that business. So now that person that's bought 32 parking places is parking somewhere near his street or near his business because there's no place to park, and now he's getting parking tickets, or his staff's getting parking tickets, even though he theoretically owns X number of parking places. I think I would like council to look into the fact that if you buy X number of parking tickets, you might get 1 or 2 or 3 stickers or something to exempt you from parking fines because you've already paid for X number of parking places, and the city has been taking this money over the years and still hasn't come up with any parking parkades or parking lots or anything yet. And I think it would, you know, if you're taking a person's money to supply them with something and not supplying it and then fining them for not even supplying it, I think it's something that we should look at.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Kinney.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering, it might have been done, but I'm wondering if it hasn't, could we send a letter of thanks to Mr. Bull for all these years of giving us the calendars for council because he's moving out of the city?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Good.
Do you want to do a resolution then to the effect?
I would.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Kinney that we send a letter of thanks to Mr. Bull for these calendars. Second by Councillor Cunningham. All those in favour? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks for that. Any other comments from council? Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Kinney, second by Councillor Niche. All those in favour? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.